welcome to EsportsNext. I'm Michaela, and I am here with.
Edward Harrill. I'm the founder and current program manager for Paragon Kenway.
Okay, all right. Tell me a little bit about, you and your company, and.
Yeah, so I essentially, there's not much to say too much about me except like most people who have been here, I'm a gamer. Been playing video games probably since like the old NES days when one of my friends would bring a Game Boy and I'd basically steal it to play Kirby instead of listening in on class. But a few things I essentially started in the industry in finance.
Okay.
Basically, a bunch of my clients were uh, people in gaming, so EA, Twitch, Streamlabs was one of my first ones, which was like a fantastic way in.
Yeah.
But it was, it pretty much was a way into something I'm passionate about, and it made me start a company like Paragon Kenway, which uh, it's a funny story how it got started.
Ooh. Okay.
While I was working my day job in business relationships, I wanted to work more in the creative space, and I found an opportunity to make a little extra money by writing.
Okay.
Most of my clients and most of my money came from writing poems for boyfriends to their girlfriends or doing creative writing for someone who in their project. But
Okay.
it was a lot of, if you look through my books, like it was a lot of, I have my anniversary coming up and I need something, very romantic because we got in this fight, or I forgot our anniversary, or I forgot our birthday, or I forgot our mom's coming over, or something like that. I would write poems that were like catered to how they write and who they're catering their audience to, which would be their girlfriend. And of course, the girlfriend, I think at this point, they've all been raving successes. But eventually, I decided to evolve it more into a creative consulting.
Okay.
I did want to turn it to more firm. I wanted to hire people, and I did for a while. I did have 3 total employees with me to help out in the San Francisco area for creative consulting and production.
Okay.
We did a bunch of online commercials, social media. We helped out with some music videos, Twitch streams. Streaming was a big one. Um, Unfortunately, the pandemic hit after that, so a lot of those companies and streamers went belly up because they just couldn't handle the money.
Yeah.
But then I found an opportunity to use my experience while working in business to turn it into a consulting company to help in business and management consulting as well as business relations. And that's where I found an opportunity to work in Orange County to help out schools to build a better workforce, but also bring more people into going back to school or using esports and gaming as a catalyst to be a better member of society both in the local, regional, and the national level.
That's actually amazing. I mean, I think right now, um, one, educating people about the opportunities within the gaming space, and helping people find jobs and career. I think that's amazing. What has been the biggest success story so far for you?
I think just the opportunity itself. It's still, as far as the business relations, it's still pretty fresh.
Okay.
The fact is, it it only was open because of myself individually.
Okay.
And I got a huge opening from Irvine Valley College, thanks to the coordinator and the founder of the Irvine Valley College Esports, Adam Lopez. He pretty much opened the doors when I was basically going back to finish up my bachelor's degree and then pursue my MBA. And I got to work with him, see how he did, and Adam's a fantastic mind with creating space for gamers and for students for them to thrive in.
Yeah.
And so I got a chance to use my experience to help students better understand the world at an earlier age instead of just, kind of building it through a mindset of cryptocurrency or social media impact, and actually learn the differences on how operations work or how deals are struck or how you are supposed to operate within yourself, or understanding your role in either an entrepreneurship mindset or even a corporate mindset.
Okay. All right. So what are one of your goals right now? For,
I got a lot, so I won't bore you with the whole list. As a very ambitious guy, my list basically could be a summer school novel at this point. So,
okay, so give me your top like
yeah,
three.
I mean the biggest thing right now is for the program itself, I don't want to just have one school be a representative for esports. I want basically esports to be um, to thrive as an industry as an industry itself.
That
I
is
want
ambitious.
yeah, I want to find some ways to kind of knock out the inconsistencies in the operations side and well, not just the operations, but on the finance and technological and the relationship side.
Yeah.
But obviously, like I'm one person, so I can't put myself on all of these subjects. So trying to find some way to build the consistency sooner than waiting 25 years it usually takes for something like that to fully
Yeah.
solidify is one of my biggest goals. The other one is complete my MBA. That's a personal goal of mine because the fact is, while I can assist and I have the knowledge to help build this program, when you have a lack of a degree, you do hit a ceiling pretty easily.
Yeah.
So unless I was going to go into creative work, which is fun, but it's just not for me as a long-term goal. I would hit a ceiling, and I do want to be at the pretty much the top of the mountain.
Yeah, definitely.
So finishing my MBA and finishing it very well, not just with a 2.0, but something well within the 3.2 realm would be great. The biggest one though is to create fully solidified competitive scene for esports.
Okay.
Because that's where, in to get very kind of business mindset, but that's where the money is. The
Yeah.
fact is, we have, and it's already been shown now with the professional leagues and the LCS or League of Legends, and then the VCT for Valorant, and even like guys like the Rocket League, competitive Rocket League, and Super Smash Bros. Like, the fact is, there is an audience and then there is a profit behind it, but it has waned because of market troubles and unfortunately because either the leadership was underskilled or just unprepared for the long-term transition and the waning of the market. So I want to find a way to build a more consistent and one that can reach out to the country as a whole, and one where fanhood can be enjoyed in multiple leagues instead of just sticking to the niche that it's already at.
Yeah. Okay. So I think, yeah, the biggest questions I think, or like conversation that the esport industry as a community are having right now is how do we build a model that is profitable for everybody involved, right? So do you think like you have an idea of how to make that happen?
I certainly have strategies behind it. I'm not gonna be the guy that's like I'm Deus Ex Machina the whole thing. Like I'm gonna be
Yeah.
Naruto showing up at the last scene before before Pain drops the world.
I mean,
Like,
it could happen, right?
But the fact is, there are many strategies. The biggest one I would say is we need to kind of get outside of this entrepreneurship mindset.
Okay.
It is, if you're trying to start your own team and you're trying to start your own program, it's certainly I certainly say go for it and don't stop on that mindset. But when you're trying to build something that's trying to reach beyond the one in what I call the 1 to 3% market, which basically means you're reaching to the gamers,
Yeah.
which is the hardcore gamer scene, which is the
Yeah.
like 1.5 to 4 million audience. If you're trying to reach it on a national level and make it consistent, you need to make sure it's a model that can reach out to casuals. And
yeah.
actually markets to it so that means you have to stop doing the niche audience responses. I always use, because I love the fact that we have people like Red Bull and Bud Light and Ford coming in to partner with us, but they are obviously setting up their marketing catered strictly to the gamers. And it is appreciative to show that they're understanding the language and the culture. But if we're trying to become what I know we are capable of being, you can't just cater strictly to the hardcore gamers. We already know we already love what we're seeing, so
Yeah.
you don't need to make the commercials so strictly catered to us. You don't need to say the GG Easies or show us like shouting at a computer
Yeah.
or something along the lines of like trying to meet every single need that a gamer usually does. Because right now, otherwise, the biggest problem with that would be we're just going to hit stagnation and equilibrium that otherwise isn't good in the growth market.
That is actually interesting. Okay. I think you're the first person so far that actually talked about like, the casual gamers, because a lot of conversation that we've been had is about how to reach the gamer, not like, the bigger community of like,
Yeah.
gaming.
The way I always put it is if you want to reach a casual audience, I'd say the way I put it is pitch it to your dad. Like the fact because the fact is like as much as a lot of our dads are probably the old school like man's man. Maybe some of them are probably like pretty emotional, but some of them are probably like very stern, very mean. But
Yeah.
like one thing we forget is they were part of the arcade age where they played Pac-Man and Galaga, so
Yeah.
they were gamers, and some of them probably still are, and probably have transitioned into the console and the online gaming scene. But they haven't built a love or appreciation for the esports scene, but they want to. My dad is a perfect example. My dad was an arcade gamer, and he is someone who doesn't understand esports, but he wants to. So if there's a way I can pitch it to him, saying, get him interested in watching the LCS, get him interested in watching VCT or some form of league like they do in natural sports, because that's the way it is. Like just because he watches basketball and football doesn't mean he's watching hockey.
Yeah.
So that means like he can watch League of Legends and Valorant, but that doesn't mean he's going to be watching Modern Warfare.
Yeah, that's
So if you find a way to pitch it to someone who isn't meeting that online gamer audience, and they can understand it, that means you can reach out to that kind of audience too. So pitch
Okay.
it. Always say, but pitch it to your dad, pitch it to your uncle, pitch it to like your grandfather, like, or even like your grandmother, and especially like to the women, even more so, because obviously even though there's about just as many women gamers as there are male gamers, there's a lot of women outside of gaming who have been kind of like, ew, gaming, like, and so if like you can convince your mom and your grandma like to watch it and enjoy it, then you've probably got a pretty solid model to have a large audience, not just the niche audience.
interesting. Yeah. It seems so simple, but like
It's a very difficult venture. I
Yeah.
think it's one that's like, it sounds easy and it is an easy answer, but that doesn't mean it's almost like it's less like a multiple choice answer where it's like, how do you solve this problem? And it's more like, tell us how to solve this in 500 words or more, where it's
Yeah.
like becomes a lot more complicated on that front, because you essentially have to put in the effort to make sure it's meeting what makes them want to be interested in.
yeah, definitely.
Which I know to a lot of gamers is like, it basically says like, well, we're going to remove the soul from what we enjoy about it. But I always put it like, as long as you have, whether you have $50 million or you're $50,000 in debt, like you'll always find the community side in gaming. And so the gamers will always find a way to enjoy what they have loved for the entirety of their lives.
Yeah.
But we need to find some way to bring it in so that way other people who have never been associated with us can enjoy what we've done. The same way we've done with anime, the same way we've done with console gaming, the same way we've done with Dungeons and Dragons is another perfect example. Like Dungeons and
yeah.
Dragons is starting to become more of a casual, fun impact on non-tabletop gamers.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, that's really, really interesting. Wow. Okay, I learned a lot today. Yeah. So, what do you would think is next for like the industry in general?
Well, right now, there's a Wim Stocks put up a pretty good point where esports was kind of on an inverted pyramid. So it focused on so much on the crown the stability that you get from having an S corp or a large corporation.
Yeah.
And they did that after the entrepreneurship phase,
Yeah.
when really you're supposed to build it up further and further. So I think you put up a good point that at some point it's going to tilt back and form back into a pyramid,
Okay.
into a regular pyramid, where we're going to focus back onto the growth phase. Where we're not going to focus on value, and we're not going to focus so much on public market, but we're going to focus on where we need to build ourselves. So with that in mind, I think the way to do it is by trying to utilize leadership at a young age and teach them how to cater that leadership mindset into all generations and all cultures.
Yeah.
Because we got some amazing young leaders who are willing and ready to take the step and have the skills and the knowledge to take that step. But they're just they always missing those 1, 2, maybe 3 pieces. So if you teach them that 1, 2, 3 pieces where it can further solidify the industry, you have a next generation of leadership that is not just waiting in 25 years for Gen Z, Gen Alpha to be the next big thing, but has solidified where the current market is with the Gen Xers and even the baby boomers beforehand, where like currently, as strange as it sounds, a majority of the market share is at the moment. So I think it is, to put it in a simpler term, so that way I'm not going too much into the business mindset,
Yeah.
is to kind of tilt back into the education and the growth side. Stop trying to look into funding and find ways to cater to an audience. If that's in the service side, if that's boots on the ground, do it. Like the fact is, boots on the ground and in-person interaction is a huge thing still, and
Yeah.
will still be especially as we get more and more tired of the virtual setting because
Yeah.
thanks to COVID. So like it'll create this balance where both virtual and LAN can be big, and then that way you can actually build a better 10 to 25-year plan to say we're ready to reach out consistently and in a stable sense to a national audience.
That's quite a vision.
Yeah,
I like it.
It is a lot. I never stated, so I could talk this thing all day. I really could. Like we could make this
Yeah.
podcast like 24 hours.
I can see.
We
I
could
can
cut
tell.
back in, and it's like, all right, I got an elevator pitch I gotta go do. But the
Yeah.
fact is, like, I do this because this is my mindset, and I don't recommend it for everybody. I recommend to find what role you want to take.
Definitely.
So instead of trying too hard to be the CEO, which I know is not a very ideal and a very luxurious looking position to be in, it doesn't mean that's the position you should take, and it doesn't mean that you can't have a huge impact. So find out, like, do you actually enjoy math? Like, then maybe finance is the way to go. Do you enjoy coding? And coding is fine. Like, it's all these things have huge impacts. Just because they're not this kind of lustful or this very shiny position to be in doesn't mean they have a huge impact. Plus, it becomes significantly less stressful for some people, and I know, especially in this generation, where my generation and younger, stress and mental health is a huge thing, and most people will realize they don't want to be in this position of camera front-facing, or this one of always making the deal, or always being on a Shark Tank episode.
Yeah.
So finding that position where you can make a huge impact, but you're not in it, you're not doing the 5 to 9 where you don't get to see your kids, and you don't have the potential to buy your own house, or you're always traveling and you never have a full solid foundation yourself, because you have to make sure this program has a solid foundation. You can build that, and it doesn't mean you need to have a crazy mindset. Like we can have very calm, very quiet mindsets and make something amazing at the same time.
Definitely. Those are some really, really amazing words.
Well, I hope it helps a lot of, especially in the younger audiences. We've seen too many people their biggest problem is going to be indecisiveness, because we have so many options.
Yeah.
And I love a lot of options, but I will admit went through the stresses of not knowing where I was supposed to go. But it doesn't, just because there are a lot of options doesn't mean you don't have it doesn't mean that you don't have a path. It doesn't mean just because you see a lot of pathways doesn't mean like you don't have doesn't mean the path you end up choosing is the wrong one. It just doesn't mean it just means that the other 99,000 million aren't your path.
Yeah.
So we're trying to teach that in the current generation, the upcoming generations, and then for the older generations, we're trying to teach them that this is something that can be a great growth for them, and one that can still be solid, and one that can still be almost a guarantee in an impact in life.
Yeah.
Beyond
Definitely.
just the stereotype of living in your mom's basement till you're 45.
Yeah, no, there are a lot of options out there, and I'm glad that someone is trying to educate both the younger and the older generation that there's not just one way, but there's many different ways, and you just have to find the way that fits yours, right?
Yeah, of course, and we'll get there. It takes time. I'm
Definitely.
hoping it takes less time than I like, but that's just my mindset. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It just means like whether it's going to happen in my goal set or if it's just going to happen decades down the line.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today.
Of course, I'm loving the opportunity. Plus, anytime I get to basically talk in general is a big opportunity. So I will always take it.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Thank you so much. Anything else you would like to share?
Showdown GG never died. Like that's always check them out, guys.
All right.
But yeah, I'll leave off that.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.